This Swiss chard is just coming so well. This is a great spot for Swiss chard. I'm really happy with. Sometimes you find a place in your garden where something grows well. So I mean, next year I'll probably plant the Swiss chard over here where this these parsnips are. They seem to like. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and it's time for another one of those State of the Gardening tours, where I take you around the garden and show you just the things that I'm harvesting right now in the garden. I do a full garden tour once a month, and I do a state of the harvest tour once a month as well, just showing you what am I eating that's coming out of the garden right now. So let's go have a look. Quicker tour. All right, so here we are at the entrance to the garden outside the fence, and here I've got a little bed of potatoes. It's about 4 feet by 5 feet, and these potatoes are all, just by the look of them, if you're new to potatoes, you know, when they look like this, they look dead. Not because you've failed at growing potatoes, it means they're ready. If we reach down at the base of any one of these plants, feel around. Oh, that's not one. There we go. No, that's not one. There we go. There's a nice potato, right? We got some nice, this is a russet Burbank potato, I believe. Right, beautiful, right? So the potatoes in this bed are ready to harvest. I got some pumpkins here and stuff like that. They're not ready yet. What else do we got here in terms of things that are ready to harvest? Let's just follow the normal pattern of things. I got a late sowed bed of beans here, and there's a few of them still being pulled out, but they're just about done. And I planted these beans in, like, I don't know, like end of June or something like that, but they're bush beans. And they're done. There's still a few there, right? We're pulling maybe a dozen out of here every 2 weeks, but this bed's basically done. All these potatoes are done here, as has been the case since May. The French sorrel is going strong, and the bloody dock is going strong. Planted way too much of that. Totally misunderstood how much of that you need. Lots of kale here. I actually had to remove a couple of my plants. They were destroyed by something, just wrecked from the roots up. This is the Siberian kale, these ones here on the left, which I find to be better tasting, but they were being just wrecked by something, so I just pulled them right out. You know, whatever was eating them, I didn't want it to eat anymore. So the ones that remain are still fine, but these are my favorite kale, the ones that have this kind of leaf pattern. They're a little mustardy, but they just taste better. These blue Scotch curly kale, they're more reliable and more pest proof to a certain extent, but they don't taste as good. So that's a quick way of putting it. But anyway, I got lots of those. I still got kale, plenty of kale. Over here, got these are cherry tomatoes. I guess my kids were, I send my kids out every 2 weeks to pick these. These plants are just about done. For those that you've been following along, those ones that I had in with the garlic that were almost nothing a month ago when I pulled the garlic, they're really coming along. So I got some forming up here. I don't know when the first frost is going to happen. We're about a week into September now, a week and change. I might have to put some plastic over these, but these have like quadrupled in size over the last month and really caught up. So these and these were planted at exactly the same time, but these were planted in amongst the garlic, which stunted them because they were starved for sunlight because of the garlic stalks. These ones had as much sun as they could take. These ones are practically done, and these ones are just getting started. So it's not actually not. You know, I was kind of disappointed in the way they looked when they were in with the garlic, but now, you know, maybe we got something interesting going on here. Over here we've got these tomatoes. Look at these things. They're like a brandy wine. They're enormous. It's the size of my hand. Right, these are starting to ripen. There's some of them starting to ripen, right? So I'm gonna have to lay these down eventually. Now, when you start to get frost in a garden, it's impossible to protect, you know, plants that are 4 feet high. These are the ones that I lopped the tops off. I, you know, cut them back because they're indeterminate, and it seems to have been working. But basically, when you start to get frost, which hasn't happened yet, it's still relatively warm. You have to lay them down and put stuff over them to keep them warm. We got eggplants never do well here, but anyway, I got some. They're a little bit pest ridden. I can see some pest damage there, but we got eggplant there. Another kind of little one there. This one's not so bad, but I don't know how productive, how useful it is. I'm sure there's a variety of eggplant that will grow well here, and I'm sure one of my viewers will suggest a variety to plant. I know one in particular that grows eggplant not too far from here and is better at it than me, so perhaps he will make a suggestion for people in these short climates of what eggplant. These are just a variety. I think they're called Black Beauty. I honestly don't think they're well suited to growing here. I didn't buy these from Vessi Seeds. I bought them from just one of the department stores down the road as a transplant. Harvesting carrots out of here. The cucumbers are basically done. They're starting to get this sort of weird pointy shape. You know, you can still use them for some things, but they're no good for making dill pickles. You slice them up and brine them, and squeeze out the brine water and use them in different kinds of salads and dishes like that. Also good for, if you know anything about Korean food, bibimbap. When they're at this stage, totally fine for throwing into something like that. Wonderful. If you don't know anything about bibimbap, check it out. It's wonderful stuff. Lots of the cilantro that I planted alongside the cucumbers is growing. No, wait a second. This isn't cilantro. Parsley. Got a lot of parsley here. I'm going to have to do something with it. Got lots of that, right? We love that with pasta. These are carrots here. But a while ago, because a bunch of my carrots failed, I planted cilantro where, you know, I don't know, that would have been like maybe at some point in August when I said, oh, well, the carrots haven't grown. What can I grow here that'll, you know, come along quickly in about 40 days or so? Cilantro is a fast growing plant, and anywhere that carrots will grow well. And these carrots, the carrots that came in are doing well. I mean, look at this one. You know, it's got a almost 3-inch crown, right? So the carrots that grew, I mean, the problem with the carrots in this bed was not the soil. It was whatever thing was destroying them, right? So around some point in late July, early August, I planted these cilantro, and I planted beans here. And the beans are growing, although one seems to have fallen down. I don't know what got at that. But they're growing and flowering, but it's a bit late. These are a bush bean. They're a fast-growing variety, but that might not have worked. But anyway, cilantro has worked out perfectly fine. If you have your carrots fail and you're, you know, past that point in the gardening season when it makes any sense to try to grow carrots, just put cilantro in that space. The cilantro will be ready when your tomatoes are ready, and so you can use it to make your salsas and all those sort of nice things. More potatoes over here. Plenty of potatoes here, just about ready to harvest. The foliage is dying. It's not completely dead, but we have some nice potatoes here, right? Lots of big beets right here. I just tend to harvest them as I need them, but when I become concerned that there's going to be a frost, I pull them all. So in a week or so, all of these beets are coming out of here. As of right now, we just, you know, every weekend I pull a bunch and make a nice meal out of them. I love beets, and these ones are really sweet. The bare root raspberries that I planted this spring are still producing raspberries. Well, I mean, they haven't produced enough because, I mean, they were just bare root a few months ago. They haven't produced enough for jam or anything like that, but they're producing. And basically, if I'm out here in the garden and I'm getting a bit peckish, I go at these. But I am fully confident that next year we're going to have, you know, a really good raspberry haul. The potatoes that I planted in with this pea trellis, these are peas down the center, potatoes on the side, they're ready to be harvested. My zucchini are being harvested and shared and used. I've made all the zucchini relish I can handle. These Magda, I have to say, these were the star of the show this season, the Lebanese Magda. Check out, look them up. You can buy them from my sponsor, Vessi Seeds. Use my coupon code GAVS21. These are, I mean, everybody's taste is different, but I will always plant these now. They are so good. And I actually had a friend of mine that I gave some to, and this friend is from China, and she said, oh, this is just like one we had back home. I haven't seen these in years, because here in Canada, Nova Scotia, where I live, there's basically one kind of zucchini in the grocery store. There isn't, it was like, you know, maybe a couple hundred different types of zucchini in the world, but in our grocery stores, there's only one kind. Anyway, she was so happy to get these. These are just wonderful. The taste, the texture, the skin is so soft. You don't have to peel them or anything like that. They're kind of a light white on the inside, but with a bit of a lime color. They're just wonderful, and they're still producing. I thought they were done. So I got some nice ones here. And this is when you want to harvest them, when they're about, you know, 8 inches long. You don't want to let them get too big. So still producing. But anyway, the zucchini are winding down, but we still have them, right? And I'm going to keep eating those Magda for as long as I can. I mentioned bibimbap before, which is a Korean dish. Zucchini, this particular one in that dish, is just wonderful. Beautiful looking, lovely taste. I don't know if you remember this bed here, but this was all, I still got a bucket there to put away. This was a garlic bed. This was all garlic. And I put 4 squash plants in there from another place, right? Another squash bed that needed to be thinned out. And I put 4 squash there, and now you can see the entire, I told you that garlic, or that squash do a lot of growing in September, and August and September squash grow like crazy. And these almost have doubled their volume, size, and so on and so forth every week. And now we've got them forming up, right? Look, here's some of the butternuts right over there. Those are about 7 inches long. I mean, the ones that weren't moved are bigger, right? And over here we got the sweet mama, right, forming up. Again, not as big as the ones from the bed they came from, but still doing good. If we can have a couple more weeks of warm weather like this, who knows, you know, you never know what you're getting in September in Nova Scotia. But yeah, I mean, this was all garlic, and I still used the space to make a nice squash bed. So that's a good little trick. These tomatoes, little cherry, I planted too many tomatoes this year. Anyway, these ones are all coming in good. I'm harvesting those. Swiss chard. Look at the Swiss chard. I'm meaning to do a video on how to harvest Swiss chard, so I'm going to get around to that soon. I actually filmed one a month ago, but I wasn't happy with the sound quality, so I have to do it again. But this Swiss chard is just coming so well. This is a great spot for Swiss chard. I'm really happy with, you know, sometimes you find a place in your garden where something grows well. So I mean, next year I'll probably plant the Swiss chard over here where this these parsnips are, because they seem to like this soil, this space, this sun, right? Anyway, Swiss chard is coming along great. We're just enjoying that. I thought I would share this is a weird spot where I've got these huge sunchokes growing. They're probably, if you straighten them out, 9 feet high. They've done so well. But in this tight little corner, I just jammed a spare squash plant that I had to thin out from another spot. And look, it's squash. And these are not record-breaking squash, right? But this is a plant that needed to be thinned out. And I just found a space in my garden to stick it. And even though it was not an optimal space, this isn't a particularly sunny spot, I'm still getting, you know, a yield, right, from something that would have just been compost. So happy with that. My weird, weedy beet garden with sort of long, thinner beets is still doing good. I mean, that's nothing to turn your nose down at. That beet is about 1.5 inches in diameter and about 6 inches long, right? That's not bad for a weed-ridden bed. I'm totally fine with that. Totally cool about it. Over here we got a bed of parsnips, but on the edge of the bed we've got parsley, lots of that to harvest. Got lots of kale over here. This is the blue Scotch curly kale. These ones were moved from the bed you saw earlier, months ago, but they're doing really well here, right? Just 2 rows down a 4x8 bed, but you know, doing totally fine. Over here we got a bed of onions. I've been taking them as I need them. Whenever I need an onion, you can see some of the onions have their stems up, and some of the onions have their stems flopped over, like this one here with the slug eating the stems. That's fine, whatever. You're leaving the onion alone, he's just eating the stems. So when I need an onion, I take, I mean, we haven't had frost yet and there's no risk of it yet. You know, if I become aware, watching the weather, that's going to be frost, I'll pull these all out of here. But basically, every time I want an onion, I come out here and I grab 3, put a couple in the fridge, right? And I'm just using them, using the ones that have flopped over and leaving the ones that are erect alone, right? Over here we got the broccoli. It's still putting out some florets, but honestly, I really have not been diligent in taking care of these broccoli. That is to say, I've not been using any sort of product to manage the pests. That's because last year I didn't need anything, and so I got cocky and thought this year I didn't need anything, and these are just being attacked. I thought I just basically achieved the right magical balance of pests and predators of pests in my garden, because last year I didn't need to use anything. But this year, all of my pests have showed up right back up. So I didn't hardly use any pesticides at all last year. The ones I use in my garden from Safers that are, you know, basically organically, what would you call that? If you're an organic gardener with any sort of knowledge of chemicals at all, it'd be hard for you to find a reason not to use Safers products in your garden. Anyway, I haven't used anything this year, and these have been really inundated with pests. I actually lost about half my cauliflower because they were just wrecked. I'm meaning to do a video about that, to talk about it, so more on that in some other video. The Egyptian walking onions are, you know, they've laid down, they've put out all of their bulbils like this, right? Each one of these little bulbs will become a plant. You can see they're almost wanting to sprout. You can plant those, right? You just space them out 6 inches apart, stick them in the ground, and they'll grow. But they're still producing nice little greens, which I like to use in my omelets and things. Anytime I need a green onion, I just come out here and I got plenty enough for my needs. So I honestly think it is worth, if you have the space, devoting a bed, a 4x8 bed, or even 4x4 to Egyptian walking onions, if you can buy them or if you can get some from a friend. You know, you're basically going to have green onions for the rest of your life, for whatever you need them for, and a great thing to trade with people that are friends of yours. Over here we've got a cabbage bed, and you know, the cabbage is pretty much ready to harvest, right? I'm waiting for a good frost to harvest all of it. We've got some of these damn slugs in it. I have not used any products at all with these cabbage, and you know, the output is not optimal, right? I do have some pests at them and so forth, but I still have enough cabbage to get something out of it. So I mean, it's interesting to see what happens when you just leave things on their own. But anyway, this is my I don't normally plant cabbage. I like to plant collard greens because I find more pest resistant than cabbage. And this year I just decided to do cabbage. For my collard greens were pretty pest. They didn't really have any problems last year, so I thought, hey, I must have the perfect balance of pest to pest to predator in my garden. So I planted these cabbage because they tend to be a little bit more vulnerable than collards, and lo and behold, they're getting attacked. It's still, you know, I'm still getting, you know, yield out of this, and I'm still getting something to harvest, but yeah, there's definitely some pest damage there. Anywho, we're just about out of time, and we're just about out of sun, so that wraps up the state of the harvest tour here in September 2021. I hope you you know, picked up some interesting tidbits of information, tips, and so on and so forth, and were able to compare the stage of your garden to the stage of mine. I didn't cover everything that's being, you know, I tend to ignore talking about the different herbs I have growing here, just, you know, for the point of thoroughness. All my different herbs are ready to be harvested right now, right? Sage, thyme, savory, parsley, right? It's all oregano, right? It's all you know, 2 feet high and ready to be harvested for fall and for use over the winter. But anyway, that's where we are here, September 2021. That's what we're pulling out of the garden. Lots of food, lots of eats coming out of here. Still saving a lot in the grocery bill and all that sort of stuff. So I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com, and until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.